I feel like authenticity is the strongest thing you could ever have.
The moment I realized that, like, let's just take it for like from the band perspective, the moment I realized
lately I hear a lot of people with the narrative
I feel like authenticity is the strongest thing you could ever have. And if you're out there and people in this world, they're not blind to how people can change the way that they act, the way that they are to fit that moment.
the gimmick.
So, it's very easily seen. They're just like, oh, okay, well, this guy must be putting on a show here.
Well,
He must be. We don't know the true story behind a lot of the things, especially if there's no explanation building up to those moments where you're speaking like that or doing those things.
Well, dude, I'm gonna say, just like the first time we met, you were just full. I mean, people were coming up to you left and right. I'm like, I watched Slap here and there. I'm not, mostly the viral moments, mostly the highlight stuff. But it's like, I saw you doing, you just had this big smile. You're shaking everybody's hand. You and I started a conversation and there was no hesitation. And I'm like, again, somebody looking like you, people I've met in industries, most of the times it would be shrugged off. They'd just kind of be that asshole. You know what I mean? But you were just so full of life, and you could tell it wasn't you just trying to be an authentic, carrying your brand, like shooting the smiles for the camera. It's like, this dude was a genuine, authentic, like, bro, that I could see him and I watching UFC fights together one night. You know what I mean? It was like one of those moments. Yeah, dude. So, and like you said, we can tell in this industry, especially like as we were talking before the cameras rolled, it was like there's just a lot of mentors and gurus out there and people just feeding false shit that we don't need to get into right now. But when you meet a real one, that's why me and Mike are so about connection and in person. And you being at the Fit Expo, like, that's what it takes. Going and shaking those hands, meeting people, getting in the bigger rooms, conversating, taking the pictures, living the moment. And that's really what we strive for with what we do here at Let Her Rip and with the flagship, dude. So yeah, I just want to spit that out, man, because our first interaction, I was like, this dude gets it. This dude gets it right here, man. So
yeah, I mean, and we realize once and especially like being in a sport where there's cameras, you're in the eye, is that you only got one way to do it anyway. Like, it sooner or later, everything kind of shines through. And the one thing that people really lack is consistency. Once you deliver that motion, you deliver that message, you put that out there. Well, guess what? Tomorrow you have to live that, and the next day, and the next, and the next, and sooner or later, life catches up. And if you're not living it in your authentic way, it's gonna play back in.
Yeah.
Then you're playing catch up.
Yeah.
And that's not how you want to do it. Especially when this.
And we've all seen it, like when people are taking pictures at certain events and they do the smile, and then a minute later, like, they're done with the smile. And you can just see that look of just like, get me the fuck out of here. You can just tell they're not in that moment. They're not there just like holding on to that, because like you said, tomorrow's not guaranteed. Once this is all over, once your time in the light, like I've been in the light and I know what it feels like to be out of that moment, and you got to live. I wish I could go back to those years I was playing and really live those moments to the fullest and treat each day like it was just the end of the world, And you can see that with a lot of people, man. But yeah, like I said, when you're out there, doing your thing, it was just the smile just stayed. It wasn't like smile for the camera and then it's like, fuck, all right, another smile for the camera. It was just rolling, bro. So good shit. Good shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like interacting with everybody. I like hearing other people's stories. I like seeing what's going on, and I'm walking around just as if people were looking at me like, I'm your fan. I'm your biggest fan. I'm looking at you guys like, okay, well, I'm your fan too. Yeah. You got guys out there that's doing arm wrestling that you barely even know about, right? But I mean, that's a feat of strength. To see you do something like that, that's amazing. So, never disregard anybody else's, talents or whatever their gifts. You got to go out there and treat everybody just like how you would like to be treated,
I think a huge component to that is you have to be a fan of your audience. You know what I mean? So many people struggle with that in business, where they believe that attention is the greatest form of currency. But it's really, I mean, and I've been using this term more frequently, but it's almost, it's mental masturbation in a sense, because you're just gathering all of this shit, assuming that all of this attention is going to get you to where you want to go. But if you're not giving back to it and you're not present in those moments, then inevitably it still falls flat. And that goes back to the business end of these things. Jake explaining you in a social setting makes it really clear that you are who you show up as. My question is, what is the discipline that keeps you dialed in, locked in, and active, staying excited to all things, because a lot of people can show that they're disciplined, they're tough, and you don't know what the backstory is. You don't know like the way they interact with other people. What does your actual like training process look like? Not just in your strength and your ability to do your sport, but your training process of you just really being that humble, happy, but also like healthy and focused individual.
The moment I realized that, like, let's just take it for like from the band perspective, the moment I realized that it was like I'm sacrificing everything to do this, like I felt like this was gonna like can happen this way, was it was like 2000, maybe 2001, and that band From Autumn to Ashes was coming out to the West Coast, and they like AOL'd me or something like that, and like we're like, hey, like, can you book some shows for us and play some shows? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. And at the time I was in hair school, which is just insane. I have no hair.
It did
You know what I
well.
mean?
It did well.
There's no school for me now. So basically, so like I was doing that, and because the whole thing was we were gonna play shows, and when we were home, we were gonna cut hair, right? And I always looked at bands as like, at the time I was in 18 Visions and Throwdown, and we were very like Christmas break, we go play tours. You know, when we had like a couple weeks, like we wouldn't be full time. So we booked these shows with From Autumn to Ashes, and we go out. And after the first couple of days, we're like, well, what do you guys do? Like, what else do you guys do like in your like lives? And they're like, we just do this. I'm like, whoa, like really? I mean, dude, there's only like 30 people at these shows. How can you just do this? And they're like, well, we just said, if we stay on the fucking road, we know we can make enough to pay like our minimal bills, our rent, whatever the fuck your bill is, car payment, whatever.
Fill in
You
the
know what I
blank,
mean?
yeah.
The flip phone.
Yeah, your phone bill, which was like $400 back then. You know what I mean? Your rent was like $300. Your phone bill was like $400.
Yep.
The phone bill put so many people in debt back then. It was insane. So basically, like that was a moment where I like was so inspired by it, and I'm like, dude, like we could do this. You know what I mean? And this was like we weren't even like on Trust Kill yet. Like we were just getting it going. And 18 Visions was like my band still. What's that?
What year was this?
2000, I think.
Okay.
It was like early on. So like maybe we just put the record out on Indecision, but yeah, it was early. And that was like an eye opener. I said to the band, I'm like, what if we do what they do? Like, what if we just said, fuck it, quit school, quit our jobs, and we'll just stay booked and keep going. And everybody was just like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck, all right. So it was just kind of like one of these things where like from like the age of 20, like I was just like, I'm going with this. Like it's full steam ahead. Like, you know, there's no turning back now. We have to see what it was. And I remember always saying to myself, I'll give it a couple years.
Yeah.
And then a couple years would like pass and be like, I think I'm okay. We probably have like 2 more years. So like, let's really like make it. And then after that, I kept like thinking like 3 years ahead. Right. And it was a good life lesson because I kept thinking ahead that it wasn't going to work. Meanwhile, it was fucking working. Right. And eventually it was like, boom, okay, it's working. Like, stop thinking that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're in it now. This is your life.
Yeah.
And that was just like the mentality. Like, that's when I knew like whatever I started off of music and whatever I was passionate about, like, I just knew it just takes sacrifice from normal, I guess, or like what society thinks is normal, like the path of, you know, getting married, having kids, like just the family, the whole traditional, the American dream. But what the American dream really is if you really look at, especially our society now, it's a fuck everyone and make as much money as you fucking can.
Yeah.
Life on your own terms.
There needs to be a balance though. You know what I mean?
All right, what's going on, guys? I wanted to cut in on this video really quick to extend the offer for you to come in and work with the Force of Focus in a much more community-based level. Now, all of the information that I provide here is extremely valuable and important for you to know about the industry that you're in, but being able to work in a room full of artists who are all not only applying the systems, but keeping each other accountable changes the entire trajectory of your success and of your scalability. So if this is something you're interested in, we're going to attach the link down below in the description. Let us know if you have any questions. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe, but make sure that you are willing to roll the dice. You have to be able to get up and get out. You have to be able to play the game, not just ride the bench. And this is exactly where you can do that. It's not your run of the mill program. This is community approach. This is how we work together and we navigate the sea of uncertainty in this creative career path. I cannot wait to see you in there with us.
Well, and that's what Mikey and I talk about, bro, is like so many people are, going left, going right, politics. And I'm like, it all starts with you. It's personal excellence, the ultimate rebellion. You know what I mean? And we tell people, like, it starts in the mirror, bro. Like, there is a lot of bullshit, Roman, but you know what I mean? Like, people like yourself that are keeping the arts alive, keeping the good vibes, keeping the good work.
Yeah, you just gotta just be happy.
That's
Just
it.
be happy. That's the key to life is being happiness. It's from Bruce Lee right there.
Well, that attaches to the statement. Like everybody always says, like you have to be the change you wish to see in the world. But when all you have the option to do is focus on what's going on in the world, you neglect the shit out of being your best self. I think that's kind of this is kind of a weird way to propose the question, but going back to the business end of things, do you think the business is more focused on slapping and taking the slap or more revolving around what it is you do to prepare and who it is you truly are everywhere else? And this is just kind of I guess in a sense, this is the package, this is the product, and the business is everything else that you specifically do and what it is that the sport and you in it represent.
I think within this sport, you have to be the full package to do everything. The way that it's going right now, the trajectory of how it is, it's all about these viral moments that they're trying to capture. Yeah, if you can sharpen up in any one of those categories where it's the entertainment aspect, where you know how to go out there and you know how to perform, whether it's out there and actually like it takes you to dabble in every single part of it, right? The physical aspect, because before people just weren't really preparing to do anything. And, talk about the couch type of person.
Yeah.
Man, I could do this sport. This is easy. Go out there, take a slap right off the couch, potato chips in hand, and just I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Call me today, But as we've progressed, you've introduced athleticism. You've had people that actually really train and really practice. And I think that at this point, some of that is kind of frowned upon from more professional side of it, like people that train all their life doing jujitsu, 14, 15 years dedicated to the craft, trying to get a blue belt, a purple belt, a black belt,
Yeah.
and really build it up. And then they look at this and they're like, oh, well, it's just a slap. They don't take it as serious. So I can only imagine that a lot of the people, if you don't already understand that it doesn't matter what it is, you're putting your life at risk when you go out there and you're taking a hit in the face. And it's not, and just because you do more, there's more talent being done in your disciplines than just taking a slap or delivering a slap. It turns sour for people.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy doesn't really know what he's doing.
Here's the reason I ask, and you hit the nail on the fucking head and what I hoped you would say. So the reason I ask is when I take what you do out of the equation, like say we're working with a tattoo artist, their belief is the business is in what you do in the tattoo, but they neglect everything else. Like you said, the guy with the potato chips, like, oh, I could do that, but then they neglect all the important elements that make you more refined in this. The reward in tattooing, as I'm sure in your sport, is being able to stand on stage, being able to do the thing, to master the craft, to be the showman. But what gets you to that stage, what gets you through those levels and to be able to do it at peak performance is all the other shit,
Preparation.
And I love the way that you had explained it, because one thing that we try to push is despite what you do, it's not about what you do, it's who you are while you do it that helps you be able to scale. And a lot of people neglect all of those nuances that make you be able to show up at peak performance for the thing that you love or that you claim to love. The love comes from what you're willing to do with your alternative worldly view or your nuance. Going back to you saying you train through like baseball and golf as much as the power end of things because it's a rotational sport. Nobody would think about that shit. You know what I mean? Nobody who's just a spectator is going to understand how those motor skills and how that mobility really apply to what you do until they have the conversation, just like in tattooing or in music or in
Anything.
anything really. It comes from understanding and taking different elements from other things outside of to make you master something, to do it a little different, to give you that upper hand or that edge.
Yeah, I mean, people would think that I'm like a weirdo if they were like, "Hey, man, show me your real workout routine and what you do and how you do all this stuff," and then I start doing it where it's like where I explain to them that a yoga ball is probably your best friend, and they're like, "What? Hey, this guy's crazy, man. This guy, he's like, he ain't lifting weights, he ain't doing all this other like hitting like he's talking about a yoga ball and how that's gonna benefit me." Yeah, it's gonna benefit you, brother, because your body mechanics.
Yep.
You understand how your body operates, how your body moves.
Yeah.
Where's your pinpoint positions where it's gonna work against you.
Mhm.
You can sit there and you can practice and try to build up on all your strengths that you have, but if you don't operate and work on your weaknesses, you're never gonna get anywhere. You're never gonna get anywhere, and everybody has them. Whether it's a hurt shoulder, a bad hip, bad knees. Overall, it's like your overall workout and exercise is for daily living. Like just making sure that the body is running properly and it's a well-oiled machine. And then once that happens, then everything kind of just falls into play. Once you put another, then you start thinking about the smaller nuances and like, okay, how do I increase my hitting strength from certain points and man, I can go into it because I'm low-key obsessed.
Yeah.
But I think here's the difference, Mikey, is like a year ago, Jake wouldn't have thrown the Hail Mary because he feared rejection. I think the new Jake is I don't give a fuck, because if I didn't ask, I didn't try. And if I didn't try, then I was letting myself down. Because if I have the thought and I want to do the thing, but I've got to hit this obstacle to do the thing, I can't have the fear that I'm going to trip over that obstacle or the rejection or someone's going to say no, because you just move on. You don't ask why. Oh, why don't you want to do it? Like, you don't like me? It's like, now it's like, I don't care. Move on. Find the next guest
Yeah.
that wants to vibe with us. Find the next guest that wants to be in this bubble, that generally sees the same fucking things we see, which is a lot of really cool shit. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, dude, is like throwing out a question and just not caring what obviously I care if they say yes, but if they say no, it's like, move on. They're not there. We don't meet their expectations, or they're not able to. Well, God damn, it feels good when they say yes.
Yeah.
And we have a
that
really
goes
good
back
time
to
talking today. Yeah.
it goes back to the rule of like sales. You know what I mean? Like every no gets you closer to the next best yes. And I mean, a lot of the time I was this way when we were going through the sales training, the sales process with the other agency. Like a lot of the time you would preset for that no to occur to such a degree, you would sabotage your ability to just authentically and organically let a yes inevitably occur. It doesn't matter if people say no, who gives a shit? When you get really good at hearing no's, yeses just become easy as shit.
Yeah. And dude, I'm glad you said that, dude, because it's like, I think that's one of the reasons I've just never really got too much into sales training or sales tactics or the objections, is because this might sound so stupid, dude, but I don't want to fight that hard for a yes. I want it to be so organic and natural that there's no sales. There's no, well, your wife and hitting every objection and being that top closer and doing like, yeah, that's where the money's at. I've heard it time and time. There's no money's in sales. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking bribery. It's kidnapping, dude. It's like, I don't want that. And again, it may go back to why I'm not a 7-figure coach, because I don't have the sales tactics or all the answers for the objections. But goddamn, I've had a lot of yeses for just being who the fuck I am and being on it, and then having a reputation to follow that, to over deliver and under promise.
Well, and I think that's huge in just understanding the manipulation. The reason people have an issue with sales is because of the used car salesman approach, which is a lot of manipulation, but true sales just comes from trying to deliver somebody the best quality product to be able to help solve a problem of someone who you can serve. That's it. If you're not ready to solve your fucking problems, it's not my job to convince you should. If you're not ready, what the fuck is the point? And that is the issue. Most people just aren't ready to leave the comfort of problems. This goes back to the beginning of the call, where most people, they love problems because the excuses are so much more valuable to why they can't than the opportunity of being willing to find solutions, which actually takes time, effort, energy, and gets a little scarier. People aren't afraid of fear. Fear is a natural state. Problems are a natural state. People are afraid of success. People are afraid of solutions.
Yeah.
Because that's when the clock starts. That's when you actually have to start doing stuff.
I just knew it just takes sacrifice from normal, I guess, or like what society thinks is normal, like the path of, you know, getting married, having kids, like just the family, the whole traditional, the American dream. But what the American dream really is if you really look at, especially our society now, it's a fuck everyone and make as much money as you fucking can.
Yeah.
Life
You
on
know,
your own, life on your own terms.
there needs to be a balance though. You know what I mean? Like there's a balance, but,
So Brandon, during that, obviously you toured your ass off all throughout the early 2000s. And I know the history of Rise Above, but like what made you go from on the road, fucking die hard, playing Ozfest, playing 200 something shows a year to then going, I'm going to fucking open a gym. Like what was, and I never talked to you about this personally, but like what was the direction? Was it like you guys stopped touring or tell me, dude?
no, it was kind of like one of these things where like it started here. So in 2007, I was still going to the gym all the time. Like I always wanted to be known as like an in shape singer, right? The whole like Henry Rollins, Glenn Danzig fucking thing. Those were like my dudes. And, I'm fucking child of the 80s. Like we fucking Stallone and you know what I mean? Like to me, that's just like, I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like the fucking ultimate fucking warrior running to the fucking ring. Like, so I wanted to be that guy. And so like late 2007, I'm in Mexico on a trip and I see a picture of myself and get pictures back from the trip. Still, it's like, come on, like still pictures, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is that? Like, that's me? I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I got like mad at my friends. I'm like, how come you didn't fucking tell me I'm like a fat shit? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And so like, I'm in Mexico and I call my friend Howie Clark. And at the time he played baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays, but he trained out in Huntington Beach. And I'm like, dude, like, who is your trainer? When I come up from Mexico, I'm seeing him. So got linked up that way, went into his gym, and it was like a small gym, kind of like what I have, a little bit smaller. And it was just like, I walk in and I'm like, there's dudes from like the Los Angeles Kings working out. There's Chester Bennington working out. I'm just like, there's that dude Ryan from that band Orgy. He was there. There was like people in bands and like athletes and then like me. And I'm like, I walk in and I'm just like, I said to myself, this would be so fucking me if it had a vibe. Like if there was a vibe. The only thing it was missing was a vibe. Whether it be dark, the music, like whatever the fuck. It was just sterile and felt like disengaged.
Personality.
I remember saying that first time I went there. And so I trained under him for like a while. Kind of became like my mentor. And so when I would go on tour, fitness was like number one priority. Get your ass up, get out of the fucking bus, go to the fucking gym, or if there's no gym nearby, bring enough shit on the road to have like parking lot workouts and shit.
Well, I mean, lately I hear a lot of people with the narrative, be the change you wish to see in the world. But how condescending is that to your own self-worth? It's almost like you're making a mockery of it because the people who say it most frequently are still hyperfixated on the world, not themselves. If you wish to be the change you want to see in the world, you have to listen to the first sentence first. Be the change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going out and screaming about a narrative for what you believe the world should be is pretty much showing your hand that you want the world to change for your comfort, not to break your comfort by changing, to actually be a component to how things can go. And the higher you go, the more you realize that the fixation of what's going on around you was always the greatest waste of time. You have one fucking life. I'm not going to dedicate my one life to fantasy football or to beers with the boys on the weekend, or to eating nachos out of my fucking belly button while I cheer on other men for their accomplishments. I won't do it.
Yeah. That's it. I'm trying to look for, there's an Andy Frisella quote that got me way back in the day when I was listening to a lot of Andy. And God, I don't think I'm going to find it right now, but it completely reminded me. Let me see if I can find this. There's no way. God,
like when you really think about it though, there is a value. There is a value in knowing what you stand for to a degree when it comes to who you become, what you wish to build, what it is you produce with confidence, certainty, and clarity, and the people that you can serve most authentically. Yes. But all of those things still revolve around you changing and being very clear. A lot of people will wind up trying to serve everybody and hiding in the shadows of hypotheticals or a lack of clarity.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be perceived as something from the alternative instead of being confident in self because of certain accomplishments or certain accolades.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we run into. Like when you look at musicians, when you look at tattoo artists, when you look at influencers or athletes, people genuinely, they have things that define them. Some people are more conservative. Some people are more liberal. That doesn't mean that you need to boast about it, but it does mean that it's part of your belief system. How did you generate that belief system? Is it because of what other people told you so much so that you started to believe it yourself, or because of the life that you led and genuinely were active in that gave you this soft approach or this more intense approach? That's what it boils down to. Are you soft or are you intense? And that's it. You don't have to pick a side. This isn't red or blue. This isn't elephant or donkey. This isn't bullshit.
Yeah.
This is generally how do you want to navigate your life?
Yeah. And I think that's why I like listening to Joe Rogan. I like listening to Andy, because as much as people think they're so far right or one way, it's like they're not. If you listen to the shit they say, and I found that quote from Andy Frisella, and it was, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion and the key to the greatest America there's ever been. And it's us. Like, I read that 4 years ago and I was like, fuck, man, all the complaining, all the like he said, she said, the religions, the politics, the left, the right, all the bullshit. It's like, I watch so many people post the most insane left or right shit on the internet, and I just see what type of person they are, and I know how they live their life. And I'm like, start within your fucking home. How about you start there? Instead of bitching or complaining and making things out of context that most people are doing on the internet right now. Nobody fucking fact checks. Everyone just shares the memes because they think it's real. It's like the peptide world. You know what I mean? Just because one thing's red, we live in that scarcity mindset, dude, of like, you just believe everything. And people will send me stuff and I'll go down a rabbit hole and I'll make sure I'll check the facts. I'll double check it. I'll cross the T's. I'll dot the I's. I'll do everything I can before bringing that up into a sentence, or asking maybe my stepdad, who I know is one of the most intelligent men I know, to hold a conversation with him or to ask the right questions. And when I typically will talk to people, I ask questions. I don't tell, you know what I mean? Until I have the facts. I like to hear from other perspectives. But you've got to look at your own personal excellence. You've got to look at your own scarcity mindset. And you've got to just live your fucking life, man. I think we're only going to get worse. I think it's only going to get worse.